Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tom's Guitar Show. I'm Tom. They call me Guitar Tom because I'm often seen with the guitar, and they call me on the phone. They say, "Hey, man, what's your show about anyway?" I say, "Well, it's about an hour. It's about guitar players, guitar playing, all things guitaristic." So normally this time of the month, we're upstairs at the Uptown Bill's Coffee House at the corner of South Dubuque and Lafayette. And if you're heading that way, go downstairs. The studios are public access. So I could say, in the words of poet, Bob Dylan, I took too much for granted. I got my signals crossed. Anyway, so we're here and downstairs at public access. So if you want to call us on the phone, ask.
So we're just not going to do it for November then?
Well, we just it wasn't set up on time, and we couldn't. There was like
okay.
stuff going on, and
So we can still reach.
yeah, they can't hear you by the way at home. But yeah, my director didn't know. So yeah, no, we're gonna read your poetry, and we're gonna have readings. We'll do everything we normally do, except we're gonna do it down here in the TV studio. And so, well, we have Stefan, the prodigal cameraman, has returned, so everything's okay. So if you want to call on the phone, ask a question about care and feeding your guitar, what kind of guitar is right for you, related topic, guitarron, chitole, banjos, balalaikas, bazookas, bajos, sextos, trombones, tromborinas, accordions, ocarinas, pipe organs, piccolos, harmoniums, harpsichords. Yeah, we could close. Somebody could close that door too if they. Anyway, so yeah, and if you want to call, we're here for you. Politics, world events, your own personality problems, that's fine. Just keep it clean. This is a family program, and if you want to come down to the studio, come on down. We're just in the corner of South Dubuque Street and Lafayette, down by the tracks. Easy to find. So where was I? Oh yeah. Now, normally when we have our coffee house show, Bob gets up and does a bit of a reading, kind of early on. Normally of a semi-humorous nature, I don't know. I've told most of the musician jokes that you can actually tell on a family program already. But does anybody know any jokes? Yeah. I mean, ones you could tell on a show like this.
You know what you call a drummer without a girlfriend?
Homeless?
Yes.
That's yeah. He said the drummer without a girlfriend. That's a guitar player joke also. I think that's Phil's favorite actually. Guitar player without a girlfriend. How do you get a singer-songwriter off your porch? You pay for the pizza. Things like that. My favorite, though, the one I've told many times, and I'm afraid Bob can't be here. He's not feeling well this evening, so he can't be here. But there's a rather cruel banjo player joke. I played a lot of banjo last week. I was in that Civil War show, and I played a lot of banjo, practiced in banjo. But what did the banjo player get on his IQ test? Barbecue sauce. See, that's that's my favorite banjo joke, really. Well, I could have a little less reverb and it'd probably be just fine. A little more. How about this? Hey, what if I did spring? I don't mean springtime because it's winter feeling out there, but I mean the spring reverb. See, now I could do things I wasn't going to do. Yeah. How about go back to Hall. have to admit that I have this little job. I teach just, some lessons up at Coe College up there in Cedar Rapids. And I'm there to be a classical guitar teacher, which is what I really want to do. But with everybody dropping and so forth, I have only 4 students at the moment, and one's American, and I'm trying to teach him classical guitar. But the Japanese guy, the guy from Nepal, and the Australian are all doing like folk and blues. So they're having string juries, and all the cellists and violinists and the harp players and everybody like that, they're going to have to, they're going to get a dose of some blues. And one very confused Japanese fellow who returned to Japan now. He can tell his friends that he studied blues guitar in college in America. They'll think it was somebody very different from me who taught them because I'm not. But anyway, yeah, let's have somebody want to come up and read something. Pete, you want to come up, or Craig? Who wants to go? Come on up, somebody. I put a camera on the reader, and we'll. We have people ready for upstairs, but we're downstairs. So as I say, if anybody's out there and wants to go to Uptown Bill's, go downstairs to PATV. We're down here. Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Pete? Sure. There we go. So we can get a camera on his visage. I'll get you.
There we go.
All right, still a bit more headroom, a little,
We're working on
little
it.
more headroom there.
T, tell me about your guitar.
Oh, I've had this one before. This is a DBZ, a Dean Zielinski, Dean of Dean Guitars. Who had a bunch of wild, like heavy metal guitars in the early '80s. He went in the guitar business when he was 16, building
So like wild shapes and
wild shapes, and he had what he called
Mostly.
Dean babies, who were went to a trade show, and they were women with very short shorts who would boots, and they would do these kind of weird poses. By these.
booth babes of the guitar world.
Yeah, and they would hand these things that had like the rabid bat design, a rabid bat, so it looked like supposed to be scary. So then somewhere along the line, he sold his company, or his company was taken away from him, or something. And they continue as Dean Guitars. So he went off and started another company called DBZ, Dean B. Zielinski. So, and now he no longer has this company anymore. He has a Dean Zielinski Select or something company. It was a boutique. So this is more of a boutique company. So actually, this guitar is, I think he had it built in Korea, actually. This is his design. So
Yeah, the viewers probably aren't really aware of it. It's just really thin. It's a beautiful shape.
it's a very
but,
thin body. It's like a blade. It's also very dense.
Very dense. What is that? What is it made of?
Well, there's curly maple in here somewhere. There are actually several woods.
Oh yeah,
laminated.
it's laminated different.
Yeah, so I don't know what this is. Maple or something, and it's laminated. It's very thin. But the thing is, the design is very it's very lively. So I can use it as a jazz guitar, as opposed to having a hollow body guitar where the sound kind of reverberates inside the hole, and it makes the whole body. Because obviously the sound comes from the pickups, but so when I got it, and it was used, and it wasn't very expensive really, because it was sitting on the wall in a guitar shop for a year or so as a used guitar. But I brought it on the show when when the LA Guitar Quartet played in Coralville that night. I was borrowing this, and I played this along with my jazz guitar, my big heavy hollow body guitar, which is also made in Korea, believe it or not, but it's a really good copy of a Guild Manhattan.
Yeah.
After Guild went out of business, they shipped the
Is
machinery.
that blonde?
The big
finish
blonde
one?
thing.
Yeah.
It has the Diamond pickups on it, the original, from off the shelf, the older pickups, and the guitar was actually, apparently what I've read now is they took the Guild factory and they took the equipment and some of the employees over to Korea, and the people who were in New Jersey taught the Koreans how to do it.
How to make Guild guitars.
I mean, Guild jazz guitars, and they did a good job. And then that was killed a couple years later. But for a couple of years anyway. So anyway, this thing holds up really well. It's just powerful and full.
So what about the guitar quartet?
Oh, that night I borrowed this guitar. I took it on the show. I left in a hurry. Went to the LA Classical Guitar Quartet, and I listened to them. And I did listen to them, but I was thinking about this guitar. And see, I took this one and that blonde one on the show that night, and then I decided I had to do it, to get it. So they let me pay things off slowly. So
Yes. Oh, very nice.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a beautiful instrument.
that's great. So what do you have for us here?
Well, whenever you ask me to come on, I always find something a little off the beaten path and
Yes.
in the nonfiction range.
I see,
Either
okay.
we'll talk about, physical anthropology or archaeology or something like that. There's a fellow I've been reading about whose name is François Eugène Vidocq, French guy, believe it or not. This is his picture.
Kind of wild-looking guy.
Yeah, he was he lived in France from 1775 to 1857. And if you know your European history, a very colorful time,
Yes.
encompassing the French Revolution, which was, had the greatest of motivations for empowering the people and that sort of thing, and was accomplished with terrible bloodshed.
Guillotine. That's right.
Yes, that guy, that bunch.
Yeah.
Tale of Two Cities,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Madame Lafarge. Guillotine.
And,
Sorry,
yeah, it's not funny actually.
no, it's not.
And then the rise and fall of Napoleon, and Second Empire, and
The
and
Third
all of that.
Empire, isn't it? After that was there.
Yeah.
There's the Third Republic or something like
Yeah,
that. Or
mhm.
a bunch of republics and empires, and then they brought back the monarchy for a little while.
Right. The Bourbon kings,
Yeah.
after beheading Louis the 16th.
They looked around for somebody who still had their head on, and
Yeah. Anyway, and in the middle of all of this is this kid born in 1775 in a small city in northern France, and he's the third child of six in the family. The father is a corn merchant, so he's sort of middle class, and the kid always had a kind of a wild streak. He was very clever. He was very sort of unconventional, and he got into trouble. He just sort of couldn't stay out of trouble. One thing led to another. He was very skillful with swords, and this got him into a lot of duels. And to get out of jail, he'd join the army, and then he'd get in trouble in the army and be sent to be on the galleys, and always using his wits to wriggle out of one jam only to get into a worse one. And but there came a point when he sort of was on the run and couldn't run any farther, and he had a really clever idea, because he's all tuned into the underworld, the criminal world of France in this early 19th century. And this is the time of the musical Les Miserables, and I always thought this guy's life would make a really much better musical than even that, although Victor Hugo wrote Les Miserables based partly on this guy and the mystique around him. Anyway, he had this bright idea that instead of trying to stay ahead of the police and being a petty criminal but stay out of jail, he should use all of his underworld contacts and go to work for the police, because he could do their job a whole lot better than the police could. And this, mind you, is in a time before fingerprinting, before identity cards, before photography, where you can just, if you can get out of town, you can go set up in the next town under a new name, and no one's to say that's not who you are unless someone happens to recognize you. And he became very clever at things like disguises and false identities and that sort of thing. So there's a story of how he went to work for the police. The divorced Empress Josephine, the divorced wife of Napoleon, the emperor, still regarded by many as the most fascinating woman in France, was living in Malmaison, a small estate outside Paris, that she had shared with the emperor in happier days. Only those who sought no imperial favors came to see her, so she had few visitors, and the sentries assigned to guard her became lax. One morning, late in October 1809, the Duc d'Otrante personally called in the head of the criminal division of the Préfecture, in other words, the chief of, or the head of the criminal division of the police department, to announce that an emerald necklace which Napoleon himself had given her as a wedding gift had been stolen. The emperor was furious and demanded that it be recovered without delay, because his enemies would claim that he had arranged the theft. And according to this book, this much of the story is known to be true. We don't know how much of this guy's life is really true, or how much is just sort of true.
True-ish?
True-ish, yes. Truthy.
Truthy, yeah.
The police went to work on the case, but in vain, and no leads were developed. The criminal division had no contacts in the underworld and literally didn't know where to begin their search. At this point, according to the legend, Vidocq appeared, offering to find the necklace in return for immunity and the chance to gain a full pardon. The offer was accepted, and Vidocq went to work in his own way, spending hours in taverns frequented by fences and going to inns where the elite of the underworld ate. According to the story, which might well be true, as he later performed similar incredible deeds. I'm going to adjust my microphone one more time.
I think you're, might be,
I'm good at that sort of thing.
done it before, have you?
Power that one down and that one down. We'll just hope that stays put.
Get that sinking feeling when it.
Yes. That's my worst nightmare as a recording engineer. I'm sitting in the back, with my headphones on, and suddenly things start sounding weird, and there's this jangling noise, and oh my God, my microphone is in the piano. And there's nothing I can do about it until the end of the concert.
Yeah.
Yes, well, it doesn't happen very often, but it can.
Once is too many, I would think.
Yeah, I have worse stories I could. Okay, back to Vidocq in
Oh, we all-
1809.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Vidocq offers to find the necklace, and if he does it, the deal is, okay, you drop the charges. The charges at this point were that when last time he was in prison, he forged a fellow prisoner's release papers. Anyway, 3 days later, he goes back to the police and was able to tell them not only the identity of the thieves, but the place where the necklace was hidden. This is according to the story. That it's a matter of record that Josephine's emeralds were recovered. Whether Vidocq was actually responsible for their recovery cannot be proved, but the story goes on to the predictable conclusion that Napoleon, relieved because he had been saved the embarrassment, received Vidocq in a private audience and then ordered that he be given a post worthy of his talents. And the post that Vidocq carved out for himself was to become the head of a new agency within the Paris police force, which is sort of criminal investigation agency. And he went on to have lots of innovative ideas like employing informants and disguises and false identities. He hired for his investigators principally ex-felons, people who had the street cred and street smarts. And whereas, and mind you, this is the old days. This is barely out of the Baroque era. A police officer was someone of importance who would appear in public, with a big plumed hat or a ceremonial dagger or something like that. That's a police officer. You know him a mile away. And Vidocq, he had his investigators, of course, look like ordinary blokes, so that they could go into the brothels and the taverns and up the narrow alleys and that sort of thing and not call attention to themselves. And he was very, very successful with thousands of arrests per year, and the crime rate plummeted. So that's François Eugène Vidocq. Interesting fellow.
So you say 1775 to 1857 or something?
Yes,
like that?
very good memory.
Yeah, so that's 70. That's a long time.
Good long time. What, 85 years, 82 years old when he
82,
died?
yeah, would be 82, yeah, because 7 plus 70, yeah, so 7 plus 75. So that's a long time. Considering the kind of work he was in, you'd think. So
Yeah, and he was a survivor. I mean, in the time even that he was working for the police, there were political factions, against him, and the whole political system in the country changed back and forth. And in the end, he died somewhat in some obscurity and not very much money saved up. He was his whole life a great womanizer, even to the end. And in fact, when he died, 11 women came forward to claim his estate, saying that he had promised them that they would get his money.
So he was a sport.
Yeah, he was definitely a sport.
Yeah.
So, like I say, this would make a great musical.
Well, yes.
And apparently there's a French movie with Gérard Depardieu.
Of course, who else?
Of course, who else? Yes, exactly, yeah, who I haven't, I should look for it. Be almost worth getting Netflix to.
That's interesting.
check that out.
And also, I mean, I mean, they could make like one of those British murder mystery, like episodes or whatever, or what do you call it, like series. Out
Sure.
Of, out of him, I suppose.
Oh, absolutely.
Like one of those costume pieces.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
They can do
that would be great. But I mean, it would be expensive. You need a lot of horses and,
Yeah.
and village scenes and,
yeah, but they're good at that. They do a lot of period pieces, so
Mhm.
it wouldn't be
Yeah.
a lot of grubby, dirty Frenchmen, and that'd be great. That sounds like fun. I'm glad you brought that to our attention.
All right. Well,
Hope
VDuck.
the viewers at home can look it up. And,
Look it up. Good article on the internet. VDuck. VIDOCQ. VIDOCQ. VDuck.
Vidocq. Yeah. Huh. Interesting character. Yeah, that whole era. I mean, I've watched a couple of Count of Monte Cristo
Yes.
movies. Where they of different kinds. Over the years. I actually read that book twice. It's a very long. It was serialized, of course. And it was like about this prisoner, of course, who it was falsely accused and imprisoned in the Chateau d'If, and escapes. But until he spent many years with this old monk or priest who teaches him so many things. He has this enormous buried treasure, and he goes back and has revenge, but only with justice.
Yes, yes.
But so I read the book, but then I've
It was a
seen a couple
ripping good
movies.
story. Yeah.
There was one that was a miniseries or something. I think Tony Curtis was Villefort or one of those guys. I forget which one. It was a military guy. Anyway, so I mean that sort of era, they kept changing their government. So
Yeah, so you'd really have to, you could either live a very quiet life, you could raise sheep, and people always need sheep, so you'll be okay, or else if you're going to be a prominent person, you have to be adaptable.
yeah, or expect maybe to lose your head somewhere along the line.
That happened a lot.
It happened quite a bit, from my understanding, and people would be thrown into prison or taken out of prison. They'd have favor or not be in favor, or they would be, depending on which side you were on, which faction you were on. And if you sat on the hillside and watched your sheep, you could watch the different colored uniforms go by every now and then.
Yeah, but I think we have a dysfunctional society.
Yeah.
Try the early 19th century in Europe, or early 20th century in Europe.
Yeah, early 20th century in Europe, or even the mid 20th century in Europe, or
Yes.
things slowed down a little bit in the 50s, I guess. Except for there's Yugoslavia, of course, and all that, but the more Western Europe kind of calmed down finally after, pretty calm now, after all these years.
Indeed.
Anyway, well, thanks, Pete. That's
All right.
great.
Well,
There's nobody here to applaud you, so
that's all right.
Oh, here, there's one guy.
Well, one guy with gloves on, that's fine. No applause necessary.
that's fine.
All right, well, play us a tune, team.
Yeah, I'll think of something. I have different plans, but this knob is getting loose now. See, what this guitar has, it has a splitter, coil tap. These are single. See, these are humbuckers. They're double coil pickups. If I pull the thing out, I get the single coil, so I can do something like.
Yep.
Or if I put it this way, I mean, it's like say that sort of out of phase Stratocaster. Say, Craig, you have something for us? You wanna take the microphone? I've been here fooling around and oh, look, I'm on TV. High definition. Should put something over
Very
the lens.
cool. So I wrote an essay this month having to do with personality types and and holidays. A book entitled The Quiet, written by Deborah Norwood, talks about the human qualities of introversion and extroversion. The Myers-Briggs test is designed to measure personality traits, including extroversion and introversion. The extreme extrovert can't stand to be alone and gains their energy from other people. Introverts prefer to keep to themselves or a small group of people. With all human traits, there's a broad spectrum of the introvert-extrovert scale. Many humans are ambiverts, a personality trait that has both introverted and extroverted aspects. I'm not a psychologist, but I do a lot of thinking about these things, maybe too much. So just for fun, I applied these personality types to behaviors during holiday events. On the surface, holidays may seem like they were made for outgoing lovers of people, but I think everyone finds a role in holiday celebrations. Thursday's Thanksgiving. The extrovert loves to have a huge Thanksgiving dinner with lots of family and friends. They would likely plan the dinner, the menu, the invitation list, and would say the list of thank yous before the meal begins. I'm thankful for blah, da, 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 da. An introvert would reluctantly accept an invitation to Thanksgiving dinner after being asked 6 times. They would bring a dish or drink if requested. An ambivert would help prepare dinner with a small group of people. Football is a part of the modern Thanksgiving weekend. An extrovert would organize a group of fans to go to a Thanksgiving football game, like a caravan traveling to Lincoln, Nebraska, to see the Hawkeyes play. An ambivert might watch the football game on TV with a small group of friends. An introvert would watch the game on TV but wouldn't enjoy interruptions by others. Shopping the day after Thanksgiving has become a contact sport enjoyed by extroverts. They would line up with 30,000 of their friends to rush into Walmart before the sun rises. Introverts might shop before the sun rises, but on a computer or smartphone. Ambiverts would go shopping with a small group of close friends when most of the crowds had gone away. We've covered Thanksgiving, but what holiday do people look forward to? What are the favorite holidays for different personality types? I think for extroverts, it would be New Year's Eve, a great holiday for planning parties or traveling to New York's Times Square or other destination to be around a lot of people to celebrate the new year. Valentine's Day might be the ambivert's favorite day. It's a day to celebrate a connection with another person, usually one other person. An ambivert would enjoy a Valentine's dinner out, either with one person or with a few other couples. An introvert's favorite holiday? Arbor Day. This day allows an introvert to be by themselves, but can do something positive by planting trees. So no matter what your personality type, there is a holiday event or holiday especially for you.
Arbor Day, that's good. That's like that'd be the holiday for me. Yeah. So I can imagine. Well, I don't have to imagine Thanksgiving dinner. I had Thanksgiving dinner once with a turkey pot pie, and I thought it was very, handy because first you had the pie, so that takes care of the like pumpkin pie issues, and you have the turkeys in there, and you got the gravies in there already, and then you have the corn and the peas and everything, and maybe bits of potatoes. So it's like the whole thing right there. Too bad it tastes so bad, Anyway, hang on, I was just going to change guitars real quick. I've been playing these. I've had this one for 15 years, and I kind of forgot about it for a while because it was. This is as a synthesizer access, but the 13-pin thing, and there's a 13-pin. Let's see if I get by the camera. There's a 13-pin jack in there and a 1/4 inch. You can't hardly see this one, but this one here, you can plug it into a synthesizer, and it. Too late now, but. but it broke, and it's very sensitive and delicate. And I had one flaw. It said you plug it in like this. If you put it in a guitar stand or anything, it'll bend. And if you move the wrong way, it'll wobble. So, but anyway, so that doesn't work anymore on this one. But it does. But the quarter-inch jack works. The electric classical guitar thing works. So I've got a lot of mileage out of this guitar. I've had people say to me several times this week, because I played 7 gigs last week, or if you want to count last week's Tom's Guitar Show, it would be 8. Because Tuesday I did this show, and then I went off and did the Civil War concert afterwards, and then Thursday I did the annual meeting, and Friday I had a gig at the Old Capitol, and then I zoomed down to Kelowna, and Saturday I had the gig, and Sunday I played in a church on Sundays, and then I had the what is it called? The film scene movie theater kind of shindig. So people say, "Oh, you just play background music, oh, don't you?" I say, "Yes, I just play background music." But in my defense, well, I work. In some ways, I work harder because I play a lot of fancy stuff. It's sort of like classical guitar, but it's not really classical guitar because people wouldn't want that for very long. You see. And it could be more like jazz guitar, but I wouldn't want to say that because I'd have 2 problems. One, the jazz police could come after me and say, "That ain't in the book," and because they have the book, you see, and I have the book at home, but I don't use it very much. And then the other thing is that generally a jazz guitar player, their bar tab is higher than actually what they get paid. So anyway, so I just so I'm kind of like a classical guitarist because I'm using nylon strings. you have something else you're gonna read?
You know, I do, but I want to come up and just talk.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I'm not on camera yet,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, well, I am.
You're on camera.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, well, you know, you're talking about holidays, and I was sitting there thinking, you know, I should talk about some of the projects I'm working on at the Oakdale Prison.
oh, yeah, okay.
It's holiday time, and it's you know, there's several million people in the U.S. who are locked up. And,
Yeah, the highest in the world, I think, percentage-wise. We're up there
it?
next to North Korea or something like
yeah, I
that.
don't know. Anyway, could be. But anyway, there's you know, just outside of Coralville, just north of the Coral Ridge Mall, is a state prison.
Yeah.
Not too many people even know that it's there.
Yeah, that church I play at on Sunday morning is right next door, so,
Oh yeah,
yeah, anyway.
right. And it's the Iowa Medical and Classification Center. And I do two projects out there. One is called Oakdale Community Choir, and it is a choir of 60 members, which is composed of 35 prison inmates, men, and 25 community members. And they rehearse every week, and they do two big concerts a year, two programs. They do each program twice. They do one performance for fellow prisoners, and then there's the second one a few days later is for the public, although you can't just sort of show up and buy a ticket like you would for a Hancher concert or something like that.
You have to do a background check on you or something?
Yeah, you have to get on the list, and it's a very limited number of outside guests are permitted in, and you do go, you know, have IDs checked and go through the metal detector, and you know, you can't have keys or phone or anything actually. It's definitely very secure. And the upcoming concert is December 12th, and it's sold out. It's no more, you know, room on the guest list, but nevertheless, it's a really interesting project. The sort of key components of it are, one, these guys get to interact with not only people from the outside world, but each other, you know, in a unusual for them kind of way. And you hear lots of stories that are, to me, very moving about how this is the first opportunity some of these people have ever had to collaborate with others on artwork, you know, on creating something of beauty. They've got lots of interactions with other people in their lives, but it generally has to do with, you know, people trying to get them or them trying to get others, or not getting along with their families, or you know, people after them, or, you know, some certain degree of mental health issues in some cases
Sure,
also.
yeah.
But in this case, you know, you show up for rehearsal, and you show up for the concert, and you sing together, and if everybody does, you know, his job right and works together with everyone else, you create something together that you could never have done, you know, remotely by yourself. And this is the power of art, you know, making music in this.
It's music, that's what you...
So that's a very cool thing. Also, they're encouraged to write words, which the director sets to music, or to write their own, you know, write the notes also for those with musical skill. And some of these compositions have actually gone far, you know, been performed elsewhere, and we're working on compiling recordings. Anyway, I'm the recording engineer. That's my, you know, my day job as it is anyway. And a few years ago, they asked me to help out with that, and it's been very rewarding for me. So that's one thing that I do at the Oakdale Prison. And then through that, I found out about another program, which is exceptionally cool. It is called Stories from Dad, and it's just 3 of us volunteers. We go out there once a month with a sack full of little handheld voice recorders, you know, like dictation, handheld dictation devices, and a whole cart full of books, which are donated by Prairie Lights Books, children's books. And prisoners who are fathers with young children can select a book and read the book to their child, and record them reading it. And then we convert the recording to CD, which is where I come in. beautifully labeled, if I may say.
Oh, good, yes.
And we send the CD of the father reading the story and the book to the families. And that's a very interesting experience because, you know, there are these fairly, you know, sometimes scary-looking guys, and you hear them talking to their children like they're right there. You know, and expressing how much they love them, how much they miss them, how, you know, they're looking forward to being with them again someday. It's just a wonderful program. I wish I had this great idea, but I really would like to see it go farther. So anyway, holidays coming up. At the October recording, we had they were pretty much all Halloween stories, and I haven't gotten the batch to do the conversions yet, but I imagine this will be holiday, you know, end of the year holiday themed stories. So so that's some of the things that are going on out there. You know, most of these men will be released someday.
Yeah.
And we want them to feel that they belong to this community and that they're not to be judged on mistakes they've made, but rather that there are opportunities for them to grow and learn and be happy and make others happy. And even for the ones who will never be released, I think they should be treated with compassion. So I'm very pleased to work on these projects. So that's my spiel about the
There's your holiday,
Oakdale projects. Yep.
there's your holiday feel good story.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's good. I've known a few people who, you know, who have been incarcerated for periods of time and play guitar. It's, you know.
Yeah, you could get yourself a guest artist gig with this choir, although you probably don't have a lot of free time for undertaking new things. But
Well, I don't have a lot of free time these days, that's for sure. But maybe someday I'll be all free again.
get caught up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't really. Free time scares me actually because I have to make a living, you know. And
Yes. I know. I agree. I'm also self-employed and sort of feel the same way.
I only have 3 gigs this week, and then of course Co will be on vacation, and college gig will be on vacation.
Yeah, I have 2 recording sessions tomorrow, and then a whole bunch of concert mastering to catch up on.
Wayne was saying that he thought you had some time off on Friday. He wanted to record.
Yeah. So you did that Songs of Civil War program last week, and that went pretty well. But we're thinking about doing a professional recording of it.
Well, it was not really a good place for live recordings and so forth.
Indeed, yes.
Acoustics weren't quite right.
Certain crying children issues and
Crying Children was
passing
his
traffic and
his grandniece or somebody was.
yes. Well, we will not
Anyway,
divulge whose crying child it was, but it was
doesn't
during
matter.
the middle of the very dramatic reading the Gettysburg Address. I don't think any children were crying when Lincoln read it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, you never know.
But yeah, we'll go out and to the little country church and
We'll
do
try
it
to do
right.
it on Friday.
Possibly, yeah.
I
Everyone else will be shopping. We'll be in a recording session.
go the opposite direction from the mall. I think I'm not a Black Friday shopper guy myself. I don't know if I'm an introvert. I would be if I would be if there were money in it. But I have to go to the party. But
You go to the party, but they pay you to
That's right.
show up with your guitar.
I can't remember. I don't often go to a party where I'm not getting paid. I guess
Yeah.
I'll probably see you at Thanksgiving. But
Yeah, right. And I never go to concerts if I'm not recording them. So
yeah.
it's not a matter of honor or anything. It's just that pretty much every night that's what I've got to do.
Well, people say, "Why don't you come down here to my band on Friday night?" And I say, "Well, I've got a gig Friday night. If I don't have a gig on Friday night, then I'm in trouble, basically."
Yeah.
Right?
Then it's money out of your pocket.
Yeah, I have people depending on me. It's not just me being a bum, And, oh, wow, we're almost done. Wow. Well, it's a nice guitar.
Yeah, it's pretty sound.
I have a phone call of an old friend, Luis.
Oh, yeah, we should take Luis. We've only got a couple minutes left. Luis, are you there?
Hello?
Hey.
Hello, Tom?
That's me. We only have a couple minutes left, but how are you doing?
Okay, how are you?
I'm all right.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving, man.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you, too.
Yeah, it was nice to see you at the mall the other day.
That's right. It was a couple weeks ago. I remember seeing you.
Yeah. A couple of questions. I remember you used to have your son on the show now and then. What happened to him? Did he become a musician just like you?
My son is, he actually stopped playing music for a while. I think he's playing again. I haven't seen much of him, actually. I'm going to try to get together with him tonight. He's been living in the dormitory. Since he went to college, I hardly ever see him.
Oh, here in the University of Iowa?
Yeah, he's at the University of Iowa, but he's got his own lifestyle now, so we
Yeah,
just...
yeah, of course they grow up, yeah.
Yeah, we don't see
pretty
much of him.
quickly.
He's on break now. I'm supposed to see him tonight, but he actually was starting to play guitar. And I gave him a guitar and a flute, and he's been playing guitar and flute. Now that I'm not around.
Okay. All right. Well, what are you going to do for the holiday?
Oh, I'm just going to go to my sister's house and
Your sister's house, huh?
try to...
Where?
I'm not really big on the cranberry relish thing, so...
Where is your sister? Here in Iowa City?
in Iowa City,
Huh?
we're right outside of town,
Oh, okay, great.
Goodbye.
Hey, remember that song, Love is Strange?
People are strange. No, not...
No, that's another song.
Yeah.
No, the song I'm talking about is, let's say, baby, love is strange. Many, many people taken for a game. La, 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 la. Love is strange.
Love is strange.
That was the
It's not
Beatles.
ringing a bell, but I'm gonna look it up when I get home.
Yeah, that was Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember that now.
Yeah, well, you know, they have that commercial. It's a car commercial on television. They're using that song. I don't like it when they use those songs for commercials, but
Well, I don't, yeah. I actually don't have a TV anymore.
yeah. Well, you know, for people like me with no leg, man, I have to
Yeah.
watch television to
Yeah.
keep my mind occupied.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
I had to get rid of it.
yeah.
My wife wouldn't let one in the house, so.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, well, that's all I want to say.
well, I'm gonna look that song up then.
Huh?
I'll look that song up and.
Yeah,
and,
it's kind of nice song. It's kind of simple. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, see you later, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you called. I'll see you around.
Yeah, take care.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him for a while. Well, we're about done here. Next month, we're going to have the Coffee House show on the 17th. It's going to be the holiday extravaganza. Not just Christmas, we're going to do Jewish songs with Jewish people. And then we're going to do some other things too, some interesting winter songs and everything. We have some kids do Christmas carols and things, and December 17th, Uptown Bill's, and we'll have to see what we can do. And you want to go out to dinner this weekend? I'll be the Tuscan Moon in beautiful downtown Kelowna, Iowa, right next to the bakery. Stop and smell the horses. Be there at dinner time.